Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader. Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows. Over to you, Carol Ann. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. And good afternoon from London, UK. And yes, I'm Carol Ann. And what I do is, my mind has gone blank. It used to do a lot in the past. It doesn't do it so much now. Because as the writing facilitator, what I do is I support soul-driven entrepreneurs in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience free-flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their book written, getting their story written, because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. And so yes, I welcome this conversation today because a lot of it has been around getting in touch with that inner voice, that inner intuition. And so how about introducing yourself, Nomsa?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So I've already introduced myself. So our topic today is ways to pump up the volume of your intuition as you can listen to your inner voice. Do we actually listen to our inner voice? I think the answer will be no. Because if we did listen to our inner voice, we'll be more successful and we'll be very happy, and this world will be an amazing world. So basically, what do we mean by listen to your inner voice? How do you listen to your inner voice? You can create a space for your inner voice to come through and pay attention to your emotions. Look at your inner voice's patterns and set the intentions to tune into your inner, to tune in within, and don't let your mind take over, because when your mind take over, you can pause it and breathe if you actually realize that your mind wants to take over your inner voice, and just listen to what your inner voice is telling you. So I'm going to hand it over to Carol Ann so she can explain, because Carol Ann, she's a writing facilitator. So the reason why I chose this topic is I just thought you are a writing facilitator, and mostly writers, they have to listen to their inner voice. They have to connect with whatever they are doing. And as a writing facilitator, you actually teach the same thing as well, that listen to your inner voice. Let the words come through to you, not blocking them. So I'm gonna let you explain, because I think you explain it better than me.
Oh no, you had a great explanation there, Nomsa, and I loved all the points that you made there, because each one was valid. And for me, with this topic, I think I'm not sure about pumping up the volume of your intuition, because it's like, when you're talking to somebody who says, I don't understand what you're saying, and you then start shouting at them, it's like, well, they haven't said I can't hear you. They said I don't understand. So it's actually, I think, with our intuition, there's a difference between listening and hearing. And you might hear it, but are you really listening to it? Because as you said, it's about creating that space, that quiet space. And it is about quietening the mind. It's all of those other chatters that goes on in your mind. It is about quietening those and tuning into that inner voice. And listening to what it's saying. And actually it's not so much about being up in your head. It's about being here in your heart. When you're in your head, that's where all the chatter is. When you drop down into your heart and into your body, what they call it in the Enneagram training that I did, they call the belly center. You need to drop into your body, into your belly center. And then you can come from your heart. And then there's a peace and a quiet. And you can then hear what your inner voice is saying. And there's something that happens that it becomes a flow. It becomes a knowing in your heart. You just know this is the voice to listen to. There's something in the way it resonates. And so is that listening is actually about your hearing, and you are listening to the words that are being said. And that's what your mind is working on, rather than all the other, well, what about this and what about that, and wanting to create an argument. And this is a key skill that you can actually do for yourself in terms of being with other people. Because when you're with other people, are you really listening to them? Or are you up in your head with an answer, ready to jump in and go, yes, but da-da-da-da. And you haven't really listened to what they said. You've heard it, but you haven't listened. You haven't listened to every single word they've said and attempted to fully understand where they're coming from. What do they mean by what they're saying? And then have an interaction with that conversation. That's the difference between listening and just hearing. So it's again practicing that with people that you're listening to, as well as listening, for your inner voice. So where do you hear in that, Nomsa?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol. And I like it when you say basically sometimes we talk a lot. We don't listen to people around us. And basically, I've been working on talk less and more listening. And somebody on WhatsApp this morning put something similar to that, and I was like, this quote keeps coming up, so that means I need to talk less and do more listening. And I like the points that you're saying, that you have to be in your heart, not in your heart, and listen to your heart. And when you listen to your heart, sometimes you get to know yourself very well, and you get to know yourself, people around you, because your heart will want to know the other heart. Basically, that means instead of you talking, you ask questions and wanting to know the other person. It's like in relationships as well. If you do more listening and less talking, because you get to know your spouse, what they want from you. But if you are somebody who talks, who blames, the relationship, it doesn't work because you're not really listening. So, and you get to know yourself, you will have zero tolerance of expectations. Like when you say, when you're with people, listen to what they say. most of the time, listen to what they say. It's like when I was talking to Kamau, I was looking at Ngozi talk shows, what is working, and Ngozi talk shows, what is not working. And Kamau suggested for me to use a Disney system that the Disney guy, the owner that used to actually build Disneyland. He basically, apparently his system, he has the questions where you ask everyone one-on-one instead of bringing everyone in the meetings. So I basically chose 5 people to ask questions. What do they think is not working? So some people came out with good points that they thought I wanted to hear, and some people they had their own points that they wanted to. They basically wanted to tell me the things that are not working. So I listened to everyone, and after I finished listening to everyone, because when you ask questions, if you ask in a place where if somebody speaks the truth, because that's what you are looking for, you're not going to blame them. It doesn't matter, because sometimes the truth hurts. So if somebody speaks the truth, and that truth will help you moving forward, it doesn't matter whether it's negative or it's positive. So there were some negative points that were put out there. So I decided that I'm going to use these negative points to actually find out from other speakers what they think. And what I found out was people were not speaking because of they're busy, because of their busy schedule. And their busy schedule, but they still want to be at Ngozi talk show, but they're very, very busy. And then some people is the timing is not right for them. So I was like, okay, so what can I do to make everybody's things very, very easy? So that's when I had to look at the people that are appearing all the time. So I was like, I'm not going to send these messages, because these guys' messages, because they've already shown me what they are here for. So they are able to do these times, and they want this as much as I want this. So I was like, these names, I'm going to leave it there. So those who are not appearing, I had to give them a choice. Do you want to stay with me, or do you want to come as a guest? So that's when people came forward and say, actually, I want to come as a guest because of the timing. Basically, even if I want to stay in OMSA, the timing is not right for me. And I'm busy. So I was like, okay, if I change the times, it's not going to work. It's just going to be the same thing. Somebody else is going to feel that the timing is no good. So that's why I ended up with the 2 teams, because me listening to people and asking questions, and people, because before I just put messages or ask people if they want to appear or not, people just tell me excuses. So, and then Nadia made a comment when we were talking. So I realized, actually, if the speakers are saying this, I need to find out exactly what is their problem. So I found out that the problem is the time, basically, and their busy schedule. So I was like, instead of me letting people go, let me give them a choice of staying, and they can come whenever they want. So that was me listening to people instead of saying, okay, no, you get out. You're out because you're not able to. So I was like, there's an option, but I found this option. It came into my mind because I was listening to one of the Peter Sage's webinar. And that's when he was like, this is how you implement things. So that's how I was able to listen, to use my listening skills. But it's not easy. You, as a writing facilitator, how do you use, how can we use our listening properly? Because it's not an easy thing to do. And mostly, I can ask you a question, and deep down in my heart, I know I want the truth. But when you actually tell me the truth, it will hurt me. But How do we make sure that we actually do what we say we're going to do in our heart?
Oh, there's a few things there. Because you say about the truth.
Yes.
And
the
I think
truth
there's
hurts.
something, and the truth hurts. The truth hurts only because you allow it to hurt.
Yeah.
You take it personally. What you need to remember is the truth is not the truth.
Yeah.
It is the truth for that person.
Yeah, the idea of that
It doesn't make it the truth. It's what is true for them.
Okay.
Okay. And when you can distinguish that, then it doesn't make it personal. You don't need to take it on personally because you've got your own truth.
Yeah.
How things are. And what you're doing, which I think, is great that you're now listening to others. You asked for their opinion and you're listening to it. And I think the shift that you can make is just listen to it as it's the truth for them. Okay?
Yeah.
And their suggestions, and then you're thinking about, well, how can I make this work? Because ultimately it comes down to, what is it that you want from this show? What is it that where is it going? What's the aim of it? And how can you get people involved? And what I'm hearing is you've made a shift yourself because you went in, you asked for guidance, you've opened up to your own intuition and guidance. And you see the guidance isn't just a voice from within. It's being guided to watch someone else's webinar. And all of a sudden something they say goes, oh, that's it. That's your inner guidance. That's your inner voice. And you listened to Peter Sage's webinar and you heard something that resonated in that moment because you were in tune with your intuition and you allowed yourself to be guided. And this is the mistake I think some people make, is that they think it all, they have to hear it in their head or hear it somehow. I've found over the years that when I've gone in and allowed myself to be quiet and just focused inwardly, asked for guidance, that suddenly I'll find myself reading a web page, or I'll pick up a book and open it at a certain page, and there is the guidance. There are the words that I needed to read. Or there's a video comes up. That's what I need to hear. Or someone calls me. That's the person I need to speak with in that moment. That's how this works. And I think it's coming away from a set expectation of how this voice comes to us, how this inner voice is, and how this intuition is supposed to show up for us. Because if you have that expectation, you have that, well, it's supposed to be like this, or this is how I think it's supposed to be. If it doesn't show up that way, then to you, it's like, oh, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. It's not happening. Because you're not really being open to all the possible ways that it can show up. And so I acknowledge you for listening and hearing what Peter Sage said, taking that on board, separating out now. You've got your two sets of speakers. Brilliant, because it just broadens your number of speakers that you've got available. You can fill those slots and have people in as guest speakers when it works for them. And yes, people are busy. And there is also a question that I put out there, which is part of my own sort of, I think, maybe a bit, sometimes I can be a bit judgmental. So it's just recognizing the judgment that's there. How important is it for you to be visible, to be heard, to be a speaker? Because if that is important to you, you make the time in your busy schedule. It becomes something that is there and you create it as a possibility. And if it's not, then that's when it becomes, it's just now and again, you know. And I think that's a question for people to ask themselves. How important is it? And I know this has come up with people writing books, and they say, oh, I'm busy, got my business to do, and I've got to get my business working, even though they know that their book is something that will help move their business forward, will help to propel it forward, and connect with potential clients, you know, in a more efficient way. And yet they put it to one side. And I'm sort of working on that myself as well, because I know I've got a book that it keeps saying to me, Carol Ann, get this one finished, get this one written, because it will help with what you're talking about. Am I doing it? No. But I'm working on it. I'm sitting down and going, okay, guide me. What's next? What do I need to clear now? And so keep asking for guidance, so that eventually it will just be a part of my daily practice to sit and do writing towards that book rather than any other writing. But it isn't just writing, it's reading, it's research. You know, it's a lot more to just writing than just writing. But it's doing the inner work is a huge part of it. And so you said, how do you use your listening properly? Goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. Recognize when you are in your head and you're attempting to argue the point or put your own point in, yeah, rather than quietening those voices. Because it's easy. I often sort of find myself going, oh, I want to say that, and I want to say, and it's like, shh. And trust that actually when you really listen, what is that person saying, that your response will come, you know? So again, it's trusting, it's patience. It takes practice, it takes doing the inner work, to be honest. And I term inner work as a capital I and a capital W, because that was the work that's important.
I agree with you, Carol Ann, when you say, I don't think you are being judgmental when you say sometimes it can feel like you're being judgmental, like if you want to do the speaking, how much do you want it? It's like when I started doing YouTube, I had to do some research from people who have been doing YouTube for a very long time, who have been broadcasting online for a very long time. And just to get some ideas of where I'm going and that path, how is it going to be like? Because some people speaks the truth. Some people will tell you that I was very successful. I created my video and my video went viral overnight. And some people had that. But when I look at the people that have been on YouTube for a very, very long time, who have done really, really well, they are all saying one thing, that YouTubers, the reason why they don't succeed is because they come for a few months, a few days, or a few months. They want the success overnight, and it doesn't work that way, and then that's why they give up. So I had to listen and take some points, and when I see myself feeling that way, I just go back to that person and listen to their video. But what I've done is, because I meditate a lot, so when I go and listen to somebody, if I listen to five people, they are all saying the same thing, what they've gone through and doing in social media and things like that. I'm like, I think I get it. It is the truth. So I have to use that system of knowing that success, it does not come overnight. Even that company that approached me to work with me, the guy said to me, Nomsa, it's not easy to actually win the audience on YouTube. We've been doing this for a long time. So basically, in other ways, he was telling me not to give up. He was telling me that I've been doing YouTube for less time and I've done really well. So he was telling me don't give up. So which is nice when you meet people like that. And coming to how much do you want this? You're not being judgmental, because I always said I always wanted to broadcast online, and I kept putting it off. I had all these ideas in my head. I kept putting them off. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. But then when lockdown came, because I had said the idea, we went to a business event. Actually, we had a business event, and we had about 10 people or 15 people that turn up to the event. So after the event, I said to the girls that I think we need to find our own audience, because when we are creating an event, we don't really have audience. So I think we need to do something on social media to create our own events. So I've been thinking about the idea for a long time, but I kept saying, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. But then I realized, actually, I go for lunch. Sometimes I have some me time, or sometimes I take a break and watch TV. So it's like, I'm going to take the time of watching TV out completely, not watching TV, and just give myself 1 hour per day to broadcast online. So we teamed up and broadcasted online, and things, even though things didn't work out, but I'm glad that I was able to listen to my heart and just go for it. And I think it always comes down to how much do you want. Whatever you're doing in life is always gonna come down to how much do you want this. What is your why? And listening to your inner wisdom, because there's been challenges in my life. Like whatever I'm doing, I find myself faced with the challenges. I have to listen to my inner wisdom and say, listen, Nomsa, you know where you're going. Nomsa, you're going to calm yourself down. You're going to connect with your inner wisdom and be the strongest person that you can be, and stop trying stop trying hard and seek advice. That means I'm seeking God. I'm seeking God for his assistant, and I'm seeking, because some people the mistake that they make is they say, okay, I'm gonna pray and wait. God does not want you to pray and wait. Like what you're saying, that sometimes you actually ask questions and listen to your inner voice, and then whatever you are seeking, and then the problem, somebody will appear and to rescue you. So that's what I do when I pray to God. It doesn't mean I have to pray and wait for God to say. I have to pray and be alert. Be alert and keep asking. If I pray to God, I have to know the right people to actually ask. This is my problem that I'm facing. Do you have any ideas how I can solve it? Because some people say, oh, I've prayed to God, I'm gonna wait until he answers me. Oh no, it does not work like that. So you have to pray and then listen to your inner voice, wisdom, and that it will guide you to where you need to go, because that is the direction, and that is your inner voice. And that inner voice, it has got to be activated as well. You have to activate it and be alert. So that's how I see life. Over to you. I've been chatting.
Yeah, lovely. I love what you were saying about be alert, because yes, prayer is the asking, and you can pray and pray and pray. So you're asking, asking and asking, but in all that time you're asking, are you then giving space and time for the answer to come back to you. And that's then where meditation comes in, because that's then the receiving part, and it is being open and alert to the answer coming in, and it's being present. And we're so sort of in our head thinking, oh, I've got to be doing. Why am I not being answered? I'm asking. Well, if you're constantly asking, there is no space for the answer to come in. There's no alertness to the answer coming in, And so, yes, pray and ask, and then give that space. Be quiet. Be alert. Be present. And actually being alert is being present. And so a few ways that you can become present, really simple, is just ask yourself, what do I hear? And then go, okay, what else do I hear? And then, what else do I hear? And acknowledge everything you hear. And notice how much quieter you become. How your mind is then alert and in the moment. And there's a real stillness. And just go, okay, what else do I hear? And just be in that moment and in that presence. And really get to understand what being present means. And then just, okay, so just be curious and say, oh, so I wonder how this answer is going to come to me. What action do I maybe need to take now? Where do I need to go? What do I need to look at? And just actually allow yourself to then move into action. Because there is an action that you do need to take afterwards, and allow your body to move. And it was something I did many years ago, in fact 20 years ago now. I actually went to Australia to visit my cousin. It's the first time I'd seen him in, probably about 30, 40 years, because he emigrated when I was 16. And I had this opportunity to go over and visit him, see him for the first time, and also to visit Australia for the first time. And I went with my aunt and my other cousin. But in that time I was there, I went off on my own travels for a couple of weeks. And one of the places I went to was Sydney. And I woke up each day and I had, I'd got all these books on and decided where I wanted to see, what I wanted to do. And each day I would go, okay, what I'd like to do is this, this, and this. And I would step out and I go, okay, Lord, guide me. And I would literally put one foot in front of the other and just be completely present and let myself be moved. And even to this day, it still touches me what a magical experience that was, because every day was magical. It just opened up. I got done what I wanted to do, and it happened in the most magical way. It wasn't necessarily in the order that I thought I ought to do it, but it happened because I was present, because I allowed myself to just be in touch with intuition and be guided. So be alert and be present. That's really key. And I love the way you put that in there, Namsa, because it is a key part of, all the elements that we need to practice. And it's consistently. Because what I was hearing you say about, yes, there is no overnight success. It just, all of the work that goes on in the background, and all of a sudden people go, oh, where did that person spring from? They're an overnight success, but they don't know everything that went on beforehand. But as has been said, it's people give up. They think, oh, nothing's happening. Give up. Well, it's in that moment that you don't give up. That's when you sit and you ask for guidance again. What else do I need to do? But it's actually about being consistent, showing up every time when you say you're going to show up, even if it looks like it's not going anywhere. It's being consistent over and over and over. And that's what you've been hearing, as I heard you say from these other people that are successful. Keep going. Just keep going. Be consistent. But don't, you said this show is going to be from 1 till 2, Monday to Friday. And then people get to know that. Whereas if you start fidgeting around with it to fit in with, well, I can't get speakers then they want it here and there. That's where the inconsistency is. And people go, well, so when are you going to be on? Oh, I can't be bothered with this. But they know this is the time you're going to be here, but also it's recorded, so they can pick it up another time. And speakers that want to be here regularly, they can create their own schedule. It's that consistency that has it work. So yeah, very much with you on that one. Definitely. And so what's another level of listening, I wonder, that you could go to?
I like it when you say give that space and be quiet to acknowledge what you hear. I've been doing it a lot since I've decided to put Dr. Biggett as my, since I've decided to have an accountability partner. I've sort of decided that I've seen lots of changes to the things that I do, that I'm listening a lot. Everything that I do, and mostly, I know when I was building Hope Springs Tenant Introduction Agency, I listened a lot, and I basically lost so many people because there was so much people like discouraging me, saying you can't do this, you can't do this. So I ended up basically shutting my mouth and just finding professionals and building my business. And the journey has been beautiful, because if somebody can ask me now, how did I build my company, I'm not gonna lie to them and say do this. It's all to do with the courage and strength. And the knowledge. You have to do your research, whatever you do. So I'm actually listening to when people say people go to the person who has the best knowledge, people goes to that person. I'm listening to those people that says those words, because I know that if I'm able to do some research and know what I'm talking about, and people will be able to understand. If I say Gossip Talk Show is where you can come and find your own voice and lead from within, that means it's a do it yourself talk show. Means we basically come in and add value to our audience, and then you go and do it yourself. Because at the end of the day, you cannot have a coach, you cannot have somebody else standing by you. I have Dr. Biggett, I have coaches, but at the end of the day, it's me that do it myself, with people pushing me and giving me that information. And so this is what I'm able to listen to myself, that like you were talking about, even if it looks like things are not going anywhere. So I'm able to listen to all these things like that whatever I see that is happening in my life in front of me, that's not the case. There's something that is being prepared that I don't see, because I'm never gonna see the results that the breakthrough that Carol Ann can bring in my life, unless I have asked you and accepted that breakthrough. In order for me to accept the breakthrough that you give into my life, you're going to give into my life, is me having to seek. And then you are able to help me. But if I'm not able to listen to what my inner voice is telling me, that seek the information that you want. Seek, do some research with whatever you want. And it's like on YouTube, I do some research all the time with social media. I think if you ask me if I go to social media events and people try to rob me, I already know how this Facebook works and Instagram, and now I'm learning about YouTube as well. It's nice to do some of those kind of research and be able to actually know what is going on with all these social medias, and even to know a little bit about what you're doing. It is nice to do some research. Like my uncle sent me a message and he was asking me information, and I was like, I'm not gonna do it for him, and I'm gonna tell him where. So what I've done, I found the website and I send him the website. In that way, I'm not doing it for him, but he's got the information in front of him. He's the one that is going to have to find the information. Because when you are running a business, every research that you do, it helps you to keep building, to keep growing whatever you are doing. Because when you get stuck, you know what you need to do. But if you have, that's why the coaches don't give out the information just like that, because they want you to get creative. They want you to be the one that is seeking the information. And then they're like, oh, I have this information. They already have it, but they're like, go and look at this. They don't say, I have it for you. They're like, go to this website, go to this, go to this, and then you find it. They never tell you the answer. So that's what I'm learning and listening. And if I want my family to grow as well, I have to do the same thing that the coaches are teaching me, so that they get creative. And also, you were talking about if things don't go your way, and you have to understand that my way might not be the way of where I need to go. So that's why it's important for me as a Christian. It is very, very important to actually speak to God. If you find myself when I speak to God, you'll be like, no, sir. I use his Bible. I don't know who wrote the Bible. I use the Bible and say, the spirit of water. I go to the scripture. It says the blood of Jesus, the Holy Spirit that comes with water in one agreement. I ask, can you testify about my company? What is my company meant to be? Is it meant to succeed, or is it meant to get stuck? I tell you, if I ask you to testify, when I'm finished or when I walk, something that I'm looking for, like what you were saying, it will come into my mind and say, this is what you are supposed to be doing to move forward. In order to move forward, you have to speak it. Some people, they feel that it's like, I see people saying different advice on how to ask the universe. Me, basically, I know that you don't ask the universe. God created the universe. You ask God. Even though we pretend that we're asking the universe, but we're still asking God. Because God, he doesn't reject anyone. He wants those who have been rejected. There's a program on TV called The Chosen. The Chosen. So when I see God, this film is actually when he's doing miracles. They are showing it when he's doing the miracles. So I see people worry about being rejected, about people Carol Ann, or we worry about people who have treated us bad. And I watch this program, you see somebody who is in the lowest and the lowest, but is surrounded by the rich, by the famous, by you name it. And God goes and pick that person who's broken. And he says, I've been waiting for you. And these people, they are like, why me? Everybody, he says, I know everyone has rejected you, but I'm here now. My time is my time, not your time. I'm here now. And I'm like, wow, if I knew how to interpret the Bible, nothing can touch me, because I will know if somebody comes into my life and they reject me, I will know how vulnerable I am as a person. Because it does not mean that whoever has rejected me is true. Like what you were saying, that my version of my story is my version, it's not somebody else's version, whatever I believe. So I've been watching this I think on the app, The Chosen, and every time I feel like to lift my spirit, I go and watch one episode, and I see God, basically the pretend God on the scene. Because they are using the Bible. I call him the pretend God, and he just goes, there's some women who have been broken and they've been treated really bad, and men who are actually rich, and then they lose everything. That moment when they lose everything, the man who goes and pray and he say, God, show me the sign, and then he doesn't show the sign, and then he appears later, maybe 2 days later, 1 day later, and he says, you remember when you were praying, I was there. I didn't have to show you the sign because I was already there. So, and then he says to this guy, follow me. And this guy, he forgets, he leaves everything behind, and he follows him. It turns out that although he was clever, he was smart, he had his own business, he's lost everything. It turns out he is more smarter than he thought. So it's like, it's amazing if we can actually listen to our inner voice to guide us. Can you imagine what we can achieve?
Absolutely. And it's actually, because sometimes, I think the question is, are we listening to our inner voice, or are we listening to something else that's guiding us along the wrong path? And it is coming into our heart and feeling, and there's a resonance there of truth, one with the universe, one with God. There's that knowing what is true. And again, it comes, I think what we were saying earlier, you were saying about someone rejects you. They're not actually rejecting you personally. They are rejecting what you're saying or what you're doing. And it's being able to sort of separate yourself from that and realize it's not personal. Because then you can deal with that. It's like, okay, so where are they coming from? They're just rejecting what it is I'm saying. And that way you can deal with it more effectively. And also, what you can then do is go in and ask for the guidance. Well, what's the learning here for me right now? Because this person has come to teach me something. They're just showing up in what I've asked for to learn. And so here is, very often is a lesson. It's the answer. It comes in the form of a lesson. And it's like, oh, really? Sometimes it takes a bit of getting used to and thinking in these ways. But it actually is very empowering, because it helps you to be more confident and stronger in yourself, and also feel like you are then in charge in some way. You're not being a victim, you're being creator. And that's the difference, that's the power. But what you were saying about doing the research, that is so important. Reading, watching videos, listening to other people. And then what is even more important is making up your own mind. What is your path? What bit of their information or what they're saying is there for you? Because sometimes people take it, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do that. And then they wonder why they don't succeed. Because actually that wasn't right for them. Because someone else's way of doing something is not necessarily best for you. You have your own way of doing things. And so it's then going in and asking for that guidance and saying, well, actually, what out of all of this that I'm reading is for me to take on board, is for me to action, and in what order? Because you may do it in a different order to what someone else has done. And you might not get the success that they got as quickly or in that moment, but that's your learning journey. Your intuition is taking you down a path where there's some learning for you. If you learn that lesson and you carry on, woof, all of a sudden, it's like, wow, oh, okay, I'm here, you know, because you listen to your own inner guidance. I remember when I did the first brain gym course as part of educational kinesiology training. I was only going to do the brain gym course, and that was it. And then thought, oh, well, I'll do the other courses and just tick them alongside my teaching. And the universe had other ideas, because all of a sudden I was doing one after the other, after the other, after the other, you know. And I did them in my own order. It's like, oh, there's that one to do, and there's that one to do, and that one to do. And for me, it was the perfect order. But it wasn't the order that they actually prescribed it to be done. And then, you know, a few years later, they're sort of putting it more into a constructive order. And I'm thinking, oh, that wouldn't have worked for me. I was so glad I listened to my own intuition, and I chose, you know, these programs came up at the right time for me, and I did them. And so it is about allowing yourself to have your own creativeness about how you do something, and not to be made wrong because someone tells, oh, that's not what I told you to do. Well, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I heard what you were suggesting, and for me, this is what I need to do. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just following my own inner guidance, and it'll take me where I need to go. And it's not about me being, you know, right or wrong, or, you know, not making a success out of it in the way that you think I should. It's about me learning what is here for me to learn to get where I want to go. And I think that's the key thing, because everyone seems to think, they keep saying, well, tell me what to do, tell me what to do. And then they wonder why it doesn't work, because they're not taking that responsibility. Like you were saying, coaches that, you know, they share with you ideas where to go and research something, but they can't do it for you. They can only put it out there for you. The difference between a coach and myself is that I do work that actually unlocks your ability to go in and to find out what it is you want to do, and then move and take the action, because you are then, because that, what's the word? The advice has come from within. And when you hear yourself saying it to yourself, all of a sudden it's like, got it. And you're more likely to take the action. So that's the difference between what I do and what a coach does. And it was something that it's what I discovered when I first started training in brain gym and educational kinesiology. My body and my being all of a sudden felt listened to for the first time in my life. I wasn't being told to do something and then being told off because I wasn't doing it right, or I wasn't, you know, doing what I've been told. My body was asked. And when my body and my being said, well, okay, I want this is what I'd like, or I'd like to look at, and was given that, it was like this, oh, thank you, boom, boom, boom. Answer came, and off I was able to move. And for me, that was the biggest difference. That made a huge difference. So do listen. It's really important to listen and allow that inner voice to guide you. And if you find it hard to listen to it, go and do some jigging. Go and do some dancing. You know, move. Just listen to some music, and then sit down and breathe. And then do what I said earlier. Just, okay, so what do I hear now? What else can I hear? And bring yourself into that moment and listen. You know, and just keep practicing that listening skills, becoming present, but trusting your own intuition. That's what's key. That's what's key. And that's what I'm hearing you've been doing, Nomsa. There's a lot of trusting your own intuition and the answers that are coming, but also taking the action, doing the research and making up your own mind, which is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, yeah. Where to next, eh? Where to next?
Trust and believe. You have to trust and believe.
Yeah.
Trust and believe. I think it is very, very important that I agree with you, Kiro Ann. It's very, very important to actually listen, but it's not an easy thing to do. Because sometimes we feel that we have to be right in everything, but that's not the case. So it is nice if you know that, like myself, I have had to I put these pictures here. I've got Martin Luther King, which is my role model. And every time I do things, I have to ask myself, what did he have to do? He have to do to succeed in life. So I have to model that. I know I'm not him. I will never be like him. He is the one individual that was created by God. But I have to, basically, I model whatever his character was. And then I have God. I have Jesus's picture. It helps me to actually listen to me, because I know that there's a scripture that says, if you ask in my name, I will give you the advocate that will help you to get to where you need to go. So I have to look at his picture, and I have to, if I know that I can't do this myself, I have to stand still. I have to stop and stand still. When I mean stop, it means I have to surrender.
Yeah.
Knowing it all to I don't know. I have to surrender basically and say, this is something that I don't know. And then I have my picture of a lion. It means even if I find myself in that slaughterhouse, I find a way. I've always have to find a way. Courage, strength. There's so many things that are in my head when I look at that picture. So I have to keep listening to my inner voice, even though there's another voice that says, you can't do this. I have to say, yes, I can. Because with him, everything is possible. So I have to have that mindset of, regardless of what is going on, like right now with the coronavirus and everything, I have to believe that I am going to pull through. And I have to believe that I'm going to get there. So I think we ran out of time. I'm going to give it over to you so we can finish it. And
just one last bit. What came to mind just then is, it's show me, lead me, guide me.
Yeah.
Is a mantra that I often come back to.
Yes.
You know, show me, lead me, guide me.
Yeah.
And it comes down to that. And what I'd like to just leave our listeners with, that as last words of advice, is stop trying and allow. It is that surrender that Nomsa was talking about. But it's stop trying. Be patient. You know, that's one of the lessons I've had to learn. I remember one time many years ago going, oh, patience, I want it now. Oh God, that was 18, 19 years ago, and I'm still working through that. It's like, okay, patience. I really had to learn patience. So be patient. Be patient and meditate. But more importantly, take care of yourself. Really take care of you. You're the priority here. And all that's wanted is for you to find you and to do what you're meant to be doing here. And it's about who you're being. We're human beings, not human doings. So again, who are you being in the moment? And really focus on about that beingness. And just have fun with it. Have fun. Lift the heavy seriousness out of it. Have fun. It's an adventure. Explore. So that's what I leave you with. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much, Carol Ann. That is very, very important for our audience, whoever is watching that. I watch Peter Sage. He says, if you go to a webinar that says I have a magic, my program do magic, he says just walk out, because there's no such thing as a magic pill when it comes to business. It says if you are looking for a shortcut and you're looking for a magic pill to help you with the business, you have to imagine if you were like 20 pounds and you walk into a gym, you do your workout that day, do you come out trimmed? He says no such thing as like that magic pill. So he says when you meet a coach that tells you that my program can do this, my program can do this, he says my program requires you to do the work. So you just reminded me that when he says my program requires you to do the work, so you have to do the work. No, there's no such thing as a magic pill. So thank you so much, Carol Ann, and our audience. And we are here at Ngozi Talk Show Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. So if you are watching this show now or later, please press some heart button and share some love with everyone else, and live with grace, and God bless you. Bye, everyone.